Okay, so hello everyone. So thank you for joining the session. So the title of this session is Mercari's Path to the AI Native. And sorry. So as title says, we will talk about how Mercari is trying to becoming the AI native engineering organization. And we are having the leaders from the division and talk about how we approaching this. So let me start with the introduction for the speakers. So let me start myself. So my name is Deed. This is unique, but in the Mercari, everyone said the Slack name or the Twitter name, and everyone call me the Deed. No one knows about my real name. But actually, I'm the CTO of this company, and I started CTO role from just this month, and yeah. And I've been Mercari almost 9 years, and I joined as a SRE. And when I joined, the Mercari started to migration from the monolith to the microservice architecture, and even the cloud migration we started. I'm leading the initiative as a platform engineer, and yeah, I'm leading this platform engineering organization. And recently, I moved to the cross-border organization, and the cross-border is a business which allows the overseas customer to buy Mercari JP's item from there. So we developed the new global app and the new global foundation to expanding Mercari to the globally in the future. So such kind of initiative we have doing, and from this month taking the CTO role and started to directing about the entire engineering organization. So nice to meet you. よろしくお願いします. So let's start from the Takim to the introduction.
First of all, thank you everyone for coming today. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. My name is Takim. I'm a technical product manager in Mercari. I've been in Mercari about 3 years. I first joined as a TPM in the sign-in, sign-up areas, which is like Mercari's login itself. I did a project there. After that, I moved into platform engineering role. But for the past 1 year, I've been working in an area that we call as AI task force, and it turned into AI enablement. So I'm focusing more on the delivering, platform products for our internal developers as well as our internal product managers for them to be able to be successful in their product development lifecycle. Right, nice to meet all of you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Sneha, of course, Snehal. I'm one of the directors within Mercari. I joined Mercari almost 7 years ago. I started in Mercari within product engineering and building features over the last almost 6.5 years for the customers. And recently, like in April, I moved to platform engineering and right now handling cost and performance engineering division.
Hello, Michael. So I've been at Mercari for about 2 years. I moved here from San Francisco Bay Area so my whole career has been in Silicon Valley. I've been in platform engineering for about 10 years now. And I worked at companies like Netflix, Yahoo, HashiCorp, and then I moved out to here where I had the opportunity to work on platform engineering as well. So thank you for joining us today.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. So let's start. So before moving to the panel discussion, so let me describe about what we are thinking as the next 1 year of the Mercari engineering the direction. So this direction consists of basically 3 pillars: build on AI, build for AI, and build global. So let me start with talk about the build on AI. So build on AI is to make the most of AI the potential. We are kind of rebuilding the development process itself around AI. So sorry, around AI, and this includes not only this includes the project execution structures and the engineering definition as well, engineering role definition as well. The name is actually intentional. So it's not built with AI, where the human builds the things and the AI assists it. But we call it build on AI. This means that most of the execution layer goes to the AI, and the human work on top of this. So human set the direction, human makes the judgment, human reviews the artifact. So in this pillar, we are trying to building such kind of experience. And the next is the build for AI. So this is exists to enabling the build on AI. So today, so we have been running this company almost 10 years. So the basic technical architecture and the foundation is getting very complex. And we have been doing the microservices, and the microservice architecture is actually very complex for us. And we have our dev environment is getting unstable, and the CI/CD is kind of freaky and very hard to work. It's getting very bottleneck for not only for AI, but even for the humans. It's getting the hard bottleneck. So we are now rebuilding this foundation to make the AI and even human make it very easy to make it more efficiently working on our infrastructure. And the third pillar is the build global. And as I said, we are trying to do the global expansion. So, but we have multiple the foundation in our company, and the marketplace, fintech, and even Mercari US. We have the several foundation. We try to unify such kind of foundation into the one and try to enabling us to make the global expansion much faster and easier. So we consist of our engineering roadmap with these three pillars. And today we are thinking to talk about mainly talk about the AI pillars. So I will ask the mainly two questions to the speakers: what kind of challenges we have right now, and the next question is how we want to addressing such kind of challenges in the next 1 year. Okay, let's start with build on AI. Yeah, so as you know, the AI tool made the coding very, very fast. But at the same time, as you know, the product development is not only about the coding, right? So you need to think about the entire process. The process is the plan, design, build, the verify, ship, and operation. If you do not optimize the entire process, the organization cannot get the full potential of the AI. So I think in today's session, we talk a lot about becoming the AI native organization. But for me, it means if the process works without AI, we are not becoming the AI native. So to achieve this, we are redesigning the whole process from the beginning, from the scratch. So it's including the project execution and the engineering definition as well. So to enabling this, so it also shared in the last session, I think, but to enabling this, we started the new way of the project, the execution. It's called the AI pods. So it's still early phase and the experimental phase, but it's the one of the important core of this build on AI pillars. So let's start talk about this AI pods, and Takim is leading this part. So let's start with a very basic question. So Takim, so what is the AI pod we are trying right now?
All right. So I want to talk about how we operated in this AI pod and what were the thesis in the beginning. Similar with what Did mentioned just now is about the cost of code generation. I think all of you know, when we talk about the before picture, the cost of code generation was very, very labor intensive. So in Mercari, we have roles that are doing a very specific task. For example, like iOS developers developing iOS code, Android developers developing Android code, and so on and so forth. But with AI, we believe that the cost of the code generation itself will be shifted towards the token itself. So it will be token intensive, but will be less labor intensive. But what does this mean for the labor itself? We think that from labor's perspective, we think that people can use and leverage AI to stretch their current boundaries. Typically in Mercari, when we have a given project, the team itself usually consists of 5 to 10 engineers, depending on the size of the projects. So we usually have PM, we have each of the experts like iOS, Android, backend engineers. We also have QA, all consist and try to deliver the same the value for a given project. But with AI, because the cost of code generation will be less, we see that in order for us to deliver the same value, we probably need a team which consists of a smaller number of people. So people can do hybrid role. For example, like there are developers who are doing the QA by themselves. But it doesn't mean that we will reduce the people, but it just means that the value creation itself will be much, much more. We anticipate there will be more and more pods that will try to deliver value for Mercari more and more in the future. So this is where we are seeing the world will be shifting.
Okay, so this AI pod structures, in the last quarter, we tried this with a few pods. So by trying this, what is working and what isn't working in the trial?
Yep. In connection to that, I want to talk first about, again, like the before and after. Probably all of you who have been going through the product development lifecycle before, especially before AI, you know the current processes where if I'm a PM, I do the discovery, I do the planning, I will create pages and pages and pages of product requirement document, or we call it as PRD. Once I have that, I hand it over to my designers, and then I will hand it over to my developers. Typically, the outcome itself will not be according to my intent, my initial intent on the PRD. So there will be just a lot of rework there. But with AI, we see a lot of things will be changed. If I want to summarize, I would say there are 3 tenets of the Mercari's AI product development lifecycle. Number 1 is about we want to encourage prototyping first. Basically, I want to create prototyping as early as possible. Number 2 is, I talked about it in the previous slide just now, which is we expect that people can extend their boundaries more. People can become more and more full stack. Number 3, we want to encourage more and more shareable workflows, which is using, let's say, skills. I'll talk about this later. But to summarize what works, I would say that to connect with the 3 tenets just now, we see that the prototyping first is really working. We try with a few projects, they create prototyping, they share with all other people, and immediately we can get consensus and alignment just by showing the prototyping. So it reduces a lot of communication overhead there. Number 2, which is expecting people to become more full stack, we are actually seeing this in our AI pods. Typically, I mentioned just now, for example, iOS developer only developing iOS code. But with this model, we see that members are becoming more and more full stacks. There are members who are becoming full stack. They develop all Android, iOS, web, and also backend by themselves. Number 3 is about the shareable workflows. In Mercari, we are investing quite a lot in common skills for those who use Claude or maybe Codex before like what the roles of the skills. This is where we are encouraging people to share more and more of their skills so that other people can use it. We see that trying to standardize this kind of shareable workflow is actually help raise up the quality level of everyone. Just some quote from James Clear. So he wrote this book called Atomic Habit. He said, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." So this is what we believe as well. By creating this kind of system shareable workflows, if I'm not familiar with any of the repositories, and if I use the system or the skill itself, the output will be at least at a minimum level of quality that we deem as acceptable. But what didn't work, I would say that probably similar with what Did mentioned just now. Right now, the cost of code generation is so easy. But it means that the bottleneck will be happening on other areas. And this is what we are seeing as well. Probably most of you will guess, like where are the new bottlenecks? Number 1 is especially on the review itself. Well, for example, on the repositories where I'm not familiar with. In Mercari itself, because our product is becoming a super app right now, there are a lot of features. It naturally means that we have a lot of teams that manage also the features as well. And if I want to make change on a given feature, usually there are interdependencies with all other features. If I'm familiar with my repository, that's fine. I can just make changes and my teammate will approve it. But in a lot of cases, I need to make changes on repositories that I don't even own. So I still need to talk with all the repository owners why I want to make the changes, where I want to make the changes. So a lot of communication overhead still exists. Another bottleneck I would say is on the upstream, especially on the discovery and define. I mentioned this now because Mercari is super app. If I want to make changes on a given screen, for example, I still need to talk with various amount of product teams. I need to explain to them, hey, my intent of why I want to make changes. This kind of consensus building is still needed even with AI. Last but not least is about there are areas where the domain expertise are still highly needed. One areas that I can think of right now is especially on the UI UX mockup generation. So this is where we see, our product engineers struggle to come up with a good, output in terms of the quality of the design itself. I think this is difficult as well because in a lot of the time we can provide the baseline, but a lot of time when we talk about design, in the end it turns into, what are the product sense or what are the design sense itself. And if you ask me what is the meaning of product sense or what is the meaning of design sense, honestly, we have our own guidelines, but it's not perfect yet. So hopefully anyone who are expert on this area, I think this is a very unique problem space. If you are interested to solve, I think this is the right opportunity to join us at this time.
Okay, thank you. So a lot of challenges. Okay, but let's also talk about a little bit technical stuff. So to enabling this kind of AI pod structures, so having the proper AI agent is very, very crucial. So what kind of AI agent we are building and what another AI agent you want to build in the future?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question as well. We started this journey more than 1 year ago. If I want to put it into a very simple way, I would probably divide into two parts. One is downstream, which is code generation and QA. Another one is upstream, which is all the planning cycle itself. On the downstream itself, for the past 1 year, we started with, like I mentioned just now, creating all the common skills locally on Cloud Code. So we provide plugins, skills, we give it to all our developers. Hopefully by using that, they can generate code in areas where they are not familiar with. For example, I'm a TPM, I haven't done serious programming for the past 10 years. But actually, for the past quarter, I must have become product engineer, try to generate code. And I'm happy to say that using the tools that we provided, I'm able to generate a good output that is acceptable in terms of Mercari quality. But where we're moving right now, I mentioned just now about having all of the skills. A lot of it are still existing locally. But we see a world where like the execution itself will be moving from local to remote environment. In Mercari, we coined this term as human on the loop. What it means is that, rather than having my unique setup on my local machine, I just call a remote agent. For example, I give my intents. It will try to generate the code using Mercari code base. It will generate in a preview environment, and I can just review it on the output. On the tech stack that we are using, we are still exploring with various tools. One is Deep Agents, which is provided by LangChain. Another one is Cursor Agents. But we believe, that the long-running agents which has ambient capability is the way to go. Second part is on the upstream itself. So this is also another challenging areas. I talked about the prototyping first just now. This is exactly the thing that we built. So we built a prototyping tool, which is also based from an open source called xe.dev. We give a pet name internally, we call it Arca. It helps everyone. Any given roles, they can just use Arca. They can just create a prototyping using Mercari code base, and they can share it to other roles, whether you are engineers or not. They can just share it, and they can get consensus there. Another part that we are building is about the knowledge layer. So we also built a knowledge layer that will automatically ingest all the project context, whether it exists on Slack, Notion, or any other directories that you pointed. It will ingest it automatically. It will make sense of the data itself, whether it's procedural or whether it's effects and so on and so on. And you can use LLM type interface. You can query this knowledge layer and you can get an answer about what's happening for a given project. So that's to summarize what we are doing right now.
Okay, thank you. So, but not only this, we have actually developing a lot of AI agents in our company, but we want to share sometimes. Okay, thank you for that, Takim. So let's move to the Build for AI section. Thank you for the waiting. This is your section. So this is about the technical foundation. So as we keep saying, the generating code is getting faster. Also, as Takim mentioned, the bottleneck is actually shifting to the after code. So it's reviewing the code and verifying the artifact and the release and even production operation. These are getting the bottleneck for us. So if you cannot verify the things at the scale, you cannot ship the scale with the AI speed, right? Also, if there is also other friction between the code to the production in our environment, and at the same time, I think this kind of issue after code is not because of the AI. It's happening even before the AI, and I think AI amplifies such kind of issues a lot, right? So platform team is owning such kind of the technical foundation, and Michael and Sneha is owning this. So let's start talk about the basic aspect for the platform side. So this is Michael. So what is the platform is currently offering to our engineer?
So yeah, this slide is very simple for a reason. Rather than focusing on any one specific team, there's kind of three categories of work that a platform organization typically provides. I'll start with the bottom tier, which is that cloud infrastructure, right? Almost every platform organization will have some kind of tier that supports or abstracts the differences or interactions with things like AWS or GCP to simplify and provide some governance around those systems. So we have the same thing. This is probably common in most of the companies you work at. Another tier above that is the core frameworks and tooling. You might hear this called productivity. Technically, all of platforms should be productivity focused. This is where you find things like the back-end frameworks. We have a Golang framework that we use. We have a web framework, and we have two mobile frameworks that we use. So these are the baked-in common opinions that we try to provide to simplify development of those components. And then finally, you have the common engineering tools, CI, CD, and you might have other scripts or tools. We have platform proto generation, back-end for front-end generation tooling, and other types of tooling that's somewhat specific to Mercari. So most of those are probably pretty common for what you might have in your company. Another one is what we call Center of Excellence, which Sneha is mainly leading. This is around, I think, a very interesting space, which is how do we achieve reliability that's acceptable for a company that's serving 1/5 of the entire population in Japan and trying to go global. You have certain practices that you want to make sure are propagated out into the organization. Cost, we have to care about cost like everybody else. It's very easy to spend lots of money. We've got to get a handle on that. What are the right and most efficient ways to manage the use of the resources that are very expensive in the cloud, as one example, right? And then finally, performance is another area. Are we looking across, and these are horizontal functions, how are we enabling application teams to understand the performance of their applications and services so that we are scaling effectively, and that we are ideally sublinear to the workloads and requests that we get into our systems. So these are cross-cutting concerns, and we group that into what we call Center of Excellence because it's a combination of tooling and practices, and it's not entirely something that it can be done solely by a platform organization, but it's in deep partnership with application teams. And you're gonna see this one pop up a lot in the next set of conversations here.
Okay, thank you. So all Mercari engineer is using this platform stuff. So this means that even the AI agent is also need to use this platform stack. So this is very crucial for even the AI era as well. Okay, so now I think everyone understands what kind of offering from the platform. So let's talk about the verification. And as we say, to ship at the scale with the AI speed, I think verification is very, very, very crucial. So, but we have some problem here. So what kind of challenges we have right now on the verification and how we want to address this?
I'm just curious, by show of hands for those of you in the room, how many of you are using AI as part of your development workflow? Okay.
Of course.
So I know, I was expecting this. How many of you feel like you have been able to commit more code or push more changes up because you are using AI? Okay, so that hits all of us. And this is where it becomes interesting because we, of course, at Mercari have also been using this heavily. And to give you a perspective, we've doubled in the last 6 months the amount of changes going through our systems. And the size of each of those changes has gone up by 35%. That's a significant amount of change in a very, very short period of time. And this is cutting across the entire company. And so the kinds of things that we have to verify, right? So you can locally, you can make all these changes. I think an excellent example was we can prototype very quickly. Sure, but is that ready to ship to production? How do you know? How do you know if it will scale efficiently? How do you know if it's cost efficient? How do you know if it meets the quality bars or doesn't introduce a regression that we didn't expect? How do we know it's secure or it meets our compliance requirements? These are things that can be part of skills, but you don't know for sure. And the problem is the engineer committing this code, ultimately, even if an agent's doing it, is doing on behalf of the engineer is the one that technically is taking responsibility for that, right? So it's our job to figure out, how do we do that? How do we figure out how to solve that problem in a scale that wants to move faster than ever before? Like I said, double the amount of changes, 30% or 35% increase in the size of those changes, and that's just the beginning. We're not even at a full multi-agent universe yet, where this is going to be happening all time, day and night. So clearly we have to come up with something new. We cannot do things the way we used to. And that is the most interesting challenge. How do we confront this new age? Because this isn't just Mercari. This is the industry trying to solve this problem. We talk about this outside of Mercari, and this is Silicon Valley problem. This is a Bangalore problem. This is happening everywhere, right? And so what we are trying to do is solve that problem here, and that's a problem that resonates across the industry. So,
How many of you hate waiting for a code review when you raise a PR?
everybody likes waiting.
I think it's really an interesting problem. I believe like when we designed verification system, they were built around human workflows, not around agent workflows. So right now, our focus at Mercari is more about how to make the verification process much more robust, where we can trust the agent being able to auto-merge a PR. So in the verification system, we are trying like different gates, like gates of, linting in your code base. We are advancing the linting stuff. We are also focusing, like as Takim shared, we are having some skills that are installed on your PC that tells you, hey, this architecture pattern is wrong. You're doing something that is super wrong because there is a security flaw. And then we are moving more on the end-to-end testing within your development environment and those kind of things. So I believe like one of the things that I'm excited about like in next year is that how we can merge, auto-merge actually. That's the most important part, auto-merge low-risk PRs. And remove that workload from engineering completely, because we want to trust our agents and build that reliable environment where they can ship changes by themselves. And apart from that, like I believe, I want to insist on that we have to also build such safe environment for agents where they can run by themselves locally and verify the change. And then we can be more comfortable in pushing those changes. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, even after verification, I think there is more friction, right? So we need to actually deploy code to the production, right? So what kind of friction we have right now in this pipeline?
So how many of you, I assume everybody's driven a car in this room, and you've probably gone over a speed bump before in your life. Speed bump, when you go over it at, I only say miles, I'll try kilometers. When you go over, 10 kilometers, is that fast? That's not fast, right? 10 kilometers, okay, 10 kilometers an hour. You still do hours, right? Okay, 10 kilometers an hour. You can go over that speed bump and it's okay. If you hit that speed bump at 100 kilometers an hour, it's gonna hurt. it's going to break your car, it's going to be a problem. The issue is agents run at 100 kilometers an hour. And there's lots of speed bumps in the system. And these speed bumps, most of them exist just because of inefficiencies in the way things have been tied together. This is not new. Every company has this. I'm sure all of you have had situations where CI has failed, your CD pipeline is taking a long time, some weird issue where occasionally a job fails or flaky tests. All of these little speed bumps in your experience, humans are used to seeing those and then reaching out for support or going and talking to somebody. But agents can't do that. They slam against a wall when this happens. And the reason they slam against a wall is because the system was not designed to help them solve their problem or work around these issues. And so as Deetsan mentioned earlier, every little bump like this, which is normal in a platform organization, now becomes a magnified and amplified problem. And so when we look at it, what we need to think about from a platform standpoint is observability is a major investment. Do we know, can we surface where these problems are so that the agents even know that the issue is due to their code and not due to some flaky test or some issue in platform? We need, obviously, an increased reliability. So we are directly going after a high level of nines across all of our platform components and systems, but not just from a component standpoint, from a user journey standpoint, an agent journey standpoint, so that we have clarity about how reliable our systems are. And keeping track and monitoring that is very important. And then finally, of course, speed. Speed is very important. You've got to look at everything that gets in the way of effective processes going through quickly so that the agents get the feedback they need and can take action. So these are bread and butter topics, but the issue is now they become massive speed bumps as opposed to just annoyances for developers.
I mean, whatever Michael said is super true, but the
Thank you.
aspect that I want to touch upon is architectural patterns. Like right now, when we build Mercari in the starting, it was built towards, like scaling. Can we ship faster or not? Then came the microservice architecture, which was much more scalable and all. Now we have to think about an architectural pattern that works very well with AI agents. And that basically provide us with the capability where once the agent generates the code, we can predict what it can generate. This means that we focus and double down on our standardization so that we can catch if something goes wrong. And apart from that, as we ship more and more code to production, there is always we have to strike a balance between how many gates we build, from security, from cost, from performance, how many of these gates we build. But in case we keep on hitting these gates, and that slows down the AI-generated, the agent speed, it will not correlate in the speed at which we shift features. So we have to strike a balance between the gates and the speed of AI agents. So I believe in Mercari, in last year, we have been experimenting with various architectural patterns, what can basically help us to work in this AI era. But apart from that, I believe our challenge right now is how to modernize our existing system, because I believe that will unlock our capability by tenfolds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we talk about the build on AI and the build for AI. But I think if only 10 minutes, I think it's good. We have some topic, but it's good to move to the question to the audience. So anyone has any question? 日本語でも大丈夫。OK。
Japanese question, English question, either is fine.
Mic is coming. Sorry.
Hi. Okay, so when you're talking about adding more and more agents, doing more and more stuff autonomously, and as the cost of tokens going up, even for individual developers, the amount of tokens they spend, it kind of gets in the same order as their salary. And how does that kept under control. Let's say when you put more agents into CI/CD, they do like tons of checks, and then you get a bill for $1 billion, for example. Like, how do you manage all of that?
Okay, I think Tsuneha is working on the FinOps as well, cloud cost stuff. So I think she can answer some of the stuff.
I would say like optimization. Optimization and getting visibility about your workflows. So if you're spending like 10,000 tokens for a certain workflow by an AI agent, you need to understand like, can you build a prompt in a better way, or what kind of deterministic template that you can provide to it to optimize it. But again, like at the end of the day, what matters is, are we building those features in a faster way for our customers or not, and not the cost aspect of it. So if you're able to like spawn a new business for Mercari within 1 month of duration, which took in the past like 6 to 7 months, I would say it's still worth it. Michael, you want
So
to
when
add?
they first introduced computers into the workplace in the 80s, it cost a lot of money, and people asked the same question. Why are we doing this? I thought it was supposed to increase productivity and reduce costs. And the thing is right now, AI is very expensive. It's going to exceed the cost savings that people said they would get if they reduced staffing, because we haven't figured out how to do it right yet. So I think right now it's a premature optimization problem. We will get there in terms of how to most effectively use it and balance this. But for now, I think the cost is less of a concern as much as it is discovering the right mechanisms and methodology to utilizing it. That's my personal view.
Yeah, even for me, the currently visualization is very important. Well, let's say that we have started with the AI pods. I really wanted to visualize AI pod, how much cost is happening with one AI pod. Then we can start to see this much token cost is good for this AI pod, or such kind of thing we can start to see, right? But still, I really want to see the visualization more crucial for me to see the effectiveness of the token usage or such kind of stuff is very crucial for me. We don't do any token maxing in our company, so anyway.
We don't have leaderboards.
Yes. Okay. Any other question? 日本語でも大丈夫です。
We also am happy to take any Japanese questions as well too.
Here. マイクお願いします。
I think these days we use agents. So I think agents may hallucinate a lot. So when you handle the multi-agents, so it should be like hallucinate more. So how to prevent the hallucination for the AI?
Takim?
Yep. So I probably will answer this from product development perspective. I think this is probably where guardrails and also, when I talk about guardrails, it's more about the evaluations come into the picture, right? As you said, we see hallucinations in all over the places. Let's say when I talk about design, for example, we have multi-agents that have multiple contexts. Let's say from product engineer's perspective, from product management perspective, and we see that it's very, very hard because sometimes it clashes and the output that we are seeing is not that good. But this is where we think that having an evaluation pipeline is very, very crucial. We first need to define, hey, what's the acceptable output for each of the workflows? I think will be unique for each of the workflows itself. When we talk about design, like I mentioned just now, it's about having a good design sense, for example. So we need to ask ourselves about what do I mean by, like design sense. I talked with a few designers, and a lot of designers probably, I think it's a bit hard for them to come up with wordings about what are the right guardrails or evaluation that we can add, as part of these workflows. Well, I think that's at the surface. But when you look into their workflow, when you sit with them together, look at a PC, what are the workflows that they're actually doing when they come with the design? You actually can turn that into a wordings. So this is the approach that we are taking. We need to sit down with all of the experts, try to see their workflows and try to turn this into an evaluation pipeline so that each of the evaluation pipeline, when we go through it, it will generate a good output for us. So I think that's the short answer.
Do you want to say something?
I mean, humans hallucinate, right? I think one thing that is a paradigm shift in the way we need to think about AI and being introduced into the workplace is we want to treat AI like we would treat any other automaton, like it's a deterministic system that we can somehow get a high degree of reliability around. And the thing is, we don't like non-deterministic systems, but the truth is that we're all non-deterministic systems, right? We actually have a lot of processes and structures around handling non-determinism in a workforce. And it actually turns out that a lot of those really work well for managing AI. And one of the things that I think we need to recognize is we're not going to catch everything before it gets into production. And it's great that we do our best, but we really need to flip to a different model as well and think about how fast we can mitigate an issue when we discover it in production. And what are the things that are okay to maybe miss, and what are the things that are not okay? And we're going to need to be much more tactical, or rather much more strategic about how we approach these problems, instead of trying to force a non-deterministic system into a deterministic outcome.
Yeah, I would say codify every single thing that you have to make sure it doesn't hallucinate.
Thank you. So any other? Oh, okay, go ahead.
Hear me now? Yep.
Yeah, no.
Yep. Citizen developer here, so just full acknowledgement. So I like what you just said, Michael, that we need to flip the concept. And so as a citizen developer, when you talk about verification, when you talk about these decision trees, I mean, I can abstract that to management leadership decisions across any sort of general application of functions. So I guess, what are some of the more common failure modes that you would identify in people like me, or maybe even junior engineers as they come into this system, where, because I've experienced over the last several weeks, many of the things that you're describing right now, where I'm observing what Claude is doing, and I might say, okay, well, we missed that step. Let's go back. Let's put it in memory. Let's build a skill, et cetera. And then if I want to do a deep code review, I'll watch Fable 5 siphon all of my credits away very quickly. It's shocking, by the way, how fast that happens. I've noted that I have a limit of up to $200,000 per month to spend on that, but what kind of failure modes do you see that are most common, and what kind of advice would you have to someone building sort of a citizen developer only product team?
So for what it's worth, I think actually the way you're approaching it is the way everybody should be thinking about this, which is we should be coming at this from an expectation that the agents will be able to do things for us, but also a distrust of everything they do. So that's the right starting point, right? Because so advice from folks at OpenAI that we've talked to them a bit, actually quite a lot, is they said, don't spend your time trying to solve the code quality problem. It's because that's what they are focused on solving, right? That's where they're investing all their money. So you trying to fine tune an agent, or rather fine tune an LLM or model, is a waste of your time. And you trying to make it be better from a development standpoint is going to be a waste of your money. So what you need to do is more manage the things that are not going to be good, what the agent's not going to be good at, which would be things that are specific to your conditions, environment, or circumstances, and focus on those, because there's no way that they're going to tune the agent for that. And then I would focus much more on, like I said, the observability part more than anything else. Just trust you're not going to be able to test everything. Trust you're not going to be able to catch everything. The common failure modes I see are people indexing too much on trying to have perfect sets of tests. People are exploring BDD as a strategy, which is a good idea, but they're trying to focus too much on the before production and not enough on the after production. And to be honest, this was an area that Netflix learned a long time ago. They actually don't do a whole lot of testing before production. They do almost all their catch and regress or fixes after production. And that simply is because of just the ability to to catch it. So we already figured this out for humans. We just need to apply it for agents. That's why canary deployment is such a nice innovation. So I don't know if I fully answered your question. If I didn't, I'm happy to answer it more completely.
No, I think you got it.
So sorry, we need to finish. So, but we are here today, so you can talk after this session. But let me close the session. So, thank you for everyone joining this session. And as I said, we are here today. So if you have any further question you want to ask, please come to us and ask any question. So thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.